Hey guys, welcome to the ATP project. You're with your host Steve and Nick. Hey Steve, how are you?
I'm good today.
Yeah.
Do you know why I feel good today?
Because, let me guess, you went for a run this morning.
I did go for a run this morning.
Guess. Yeah.
And I'm feeling good after that. Why do I feel good after that? It's weird, isn't it? We're going to talk about that. We're talking about running today, aren't we?
We are talking all about running today, Steve. Yeah, the good, the bad, the ugly. Is it good for you? Is it bad for you?
There's an ugly side to running?
Well, yeah, have you seen me run? That's probably pretty ugly, to be honest.
Never seen you run.
No, because I don't.
I do a bit of running.
Yeah, you do run. You've run marathons and you're pretty much the expert here.
Something's a bit naked with me. Hang on a second. Hang on, just got to get this right. Oh, what's this, Nick?
Steve.
What is this?
Steve, he's pulling out the big guns.
Look at this.
Oh, look at that. What is that one? Gold Coast Marathon.
Yeah, what does that say?
Oh, finisher.
Finisher.
You actually completed it. You didn't pass out.
That was 10 years ago, 2014.
Oh, wow.
2024. Yeah, we'll just edit that. But isn't that cool?
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
It's a bronze medal. It looks like gold medal. It looks like I came first, but no, I just finished.
You just finished,
Just finished the damn thing.
That's an achievement in itself, finishing a marathon, really, isn't it? You're a runner. And we're going to talk all about it. And so, I'm not a runner. Let's just say up front, I don't run.
But this is impressive, isn't it?
That's very impressive, Steve, yeah.
Because Beck makes me wear it to bed at night.
Does she really? Oh, Beck. When she puts you in the spare room.
Wear your medallion for me, Steve.
Right, it's a good start anyway.
Oh, it's shocking, isn't it? It's shocking.
Steve's on fire.
All right, well, do you want me to tell you some jokes about runners?
Sure.
Because are you ready for the?
Because you're a runner, so you can say them.
I know. It's like you can say female jokes, I can say male jokes. But why do runners run in the morning?
I don't know.
Because then they know the day won't get any worse.
That's true. Hey, that's true.
Now we're in Queensland, but this morning, what was the temperature like?
It was single digits this morning.
I was running out there in my shorts.
You're
pitch
crazy.
black.
You're crazy.
Crazy, yeah. Mm-hmm. And there's lots of people who do this running game, isn't it? I think 3 million in Australia.
Yeah, it's there's been a resurgence of its popularity.
Oh, why?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
When people say, I've run the marathon a few times.
You're going to leave that medal on all
Of course I'm going to leave it on when I go to bed. I don't take it off. I just took it off for some, I'd never take it off. It's my medallion. Look at that. But yeah, there's some good medal. But you're right, there's a resurgence. And people ask me about running the marathon. And I try and talk them out of it. It's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Especially Gold Coast Marathon, which is this one. You start at Southport, right where I live, and then you run down to Burleigh. And for the people who don't know the Gold Coast, it's like 15 Ks, you head one direction, then you head back 15. And so that's 30 Ks. And you get back to the start/finish line.
Yeah.
And your 30 Ks, you're screwed. You're tired after running 30 Ks. Yeah. And then you've got to run past the finish line, another 5-6 Ks up the road, and then come back to the finish line. So you run past the finish line. It just does. You just want to stop.
Yeah.
And of course, all right, believe it or not, but I'm not the fastest runner in the world. It took me 3 hours and 52 minutes to run the bloody marathon.
Yeah.
But there were people finishing by the time I was running past it. So they're all cheering.
So they're stopping and you're like, no, I just want to stop.
And you can't cheat because you've got this tag on your shoe which beep, 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 throw over the... And so, you can't cheat. Oh, otherwise I would have.
Yeah. Right.
But I wonder if you get on a push bike and your foot goes around and, it might... Yeah, you could probably cheat that way, but I didn't cheat.
Oh, well.
God, if I cheated, I would have got more than 3 hours and 52 minutes.
I mean, I don't know. What is a good time for a marathon?
Well, the fastest time's just over 2 hours.
Oh,
In fact, somebody's done it under...
You were pretty bad then, aren't you, Steve?
Shocking.
I'm joking.
Absolutely.
I'm joking. I can't run around the block.
There was a guy, and I think he was in England, and he ran the marathon. It's an unofficial record, but he did it. He broke the 2 hour thing. And that was because he had paces and it was only him. And, that everything was in his favour. There wasn't a race. It was and he ran it in 2 hours and, just under 2 hours. So that's phenomenal.
That is phenomenal.
But we're going to talk all running today. So not just stupid distance running, but shorter distances.
Yeah. We're just going to talk about the benefits of running, maybe some things that are a little bit maybe not so good about running. A bit of a balance of both.
Well, hit me with some benefits. What's some benefits about running?
Well, it's it's cheap, right? Well, it's free, really, isn't it? So it's accessible. So you can do it anywhere in the world. You can run. It doesn't cost you anything other than the gear that you got to running shoes and things like that.
Freaking sanity.
Costs you sanity, yeah. So gym, when you go to the gym, you got to get a gym membership and all that sort of thing. You got to get up and get there. Whereas here you can just walk out your front door and go. And
what I know from my wife is gym clothes are quite expensive. They are
quite expensive.
Now you're a Jimmy.
I'm a Jimmy, yeah.
So I mean, just from a cost point of view, the membership for gym, we pay. I think it's $25 a week for both of us because I pay that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so I don't know how much gyms are normally these days.
I have my own gym.
Oh, you have your own gym.
No, I don't pay.
But you got to buy the gym.
I have to buy all the equipment. It costs a lot of money.
And we're going to dob you in here, but you got a walking machine, haven't you?
I have got a walking machine. Yeah, look, I do run on that. I will say I do run on them.
So you are a stupid runner.
I have done a bit. See, I like to do all my research and everything before we do podcast episodes. So I decided I'd try run leading up to this. So
I love how you're laughing at that.
Because try is being the actual ultimate word there. I ran a bit. I did a couple of sprints. That's not really running, is it? Short bursts.
I've got some short burst research on what they call fart legs in running.
Fart legs. Yeah.
I've
heard of fart legs.
Yeah, I know. It sounds terrible. It's not what it is. It's not what it is, but it's interesting. Yeah. Okay, so it's accessible and it's cheap.
Yeah.
What are some other benefits?
So it's very good for cardiovascular health. We all know that. Yeah. So how is it good for cardiovascular health?
Yeah. Tell us about arterial stiffness or something.
Arterial stiffness. So as we get older, our arteries become a little bit stiffer, more rigid, and particularly postmenopausal women, this, because I'm a woman, I'll talk from a woman's perspective, this can become quite prevalent. Cardiovascular exercise actually reduces arterial stiffness, which then reduces, all the things that come along with that, inflammation, cardiovascular disease, all that sort of thing. So it reduces the risks of those conditions. So that's one of the ways that it actually does reduce that, is it reduces arterial stiffness, Steve.
Stiffness. It used to be called hardening of the arteries in the olden days. Now when an artery is stiff, if you picture a tube, like a... I was doing some plumbing yesterday at a mate's place, and you got those stiff PVC tubes.
Yeah.
You don't want your arteries like that, because when you get a pulse of blood through, because obviously you got a heart that pumps it, it doesn't expand and as much, and it keeps the pressure high. So high blood pressure is bad.
Yeah.
So arterial stiffness. Now you've got a paper there on stiffness too. What was that one?
Now, Steve's thrown me under the bus again.
I have.
He's done this once before and you got in trouble for it, Steve.
I know, but I don't want to talk about this part of it.
People are going to make, and let me premise. And
look at the size of that.
This is what got
Why did
you in trouble last time.
Why did you print it out so big? It hasn't got photos in it, Nick.
You printed it out, Steve, not me.
Too.
Steve handed me this paper, and he did this to me another time, and then you got bad feedback. Steve.
Yeah, but so I'm happy to go again. I just don't want to.
Steve's making me read out this systemic review.
Yes, what's it on?
Effect of aerobic exercise on erectile function, Steve.
Yes, okay. Yeah. Now, remember, I'm a distance runner.
You are a distance runner, so you really are the expert here, not me.
Yeah,
clearly I don't know anything about it. So
I've thrown you on the bus. What are the results? So you do aerobic, running. What happens?
So I'm just going to go straight to the conclusion, so we don't have to go.
Yes, please. Don't worry about the methodology.
No. So regular aerobic exercise can improve the erectile function of men, particularly those with lower baseline of erectile. What is it?
The International Scale of Erectile Dysfunction. Yeah.
Scores.
Okay, that's all you're going to read out of that study.
That's all I'm going to read out. That's it.
It's a meta-analysis, so it's 11 studies all in one. So it's really important. So you really do improve your arterial stiffness to get you stiffness. So I don't know if I can say that, but you know what I mean? It actually helps the arteries in the body. And of course, with so you should fold it up, throw it away.
It's out.
Yeah, it's out. So running's good for the cardiovascular system, we know. Now, I want to ask you about something here called the runner's high.
Yeah. This is a thing, apparently. I mean, I have run in the past, but it never gave me a high. Trust me, the opposite. I just wanted to kill myself.
Oh, no, the runner's high is a real thing. I know. I experience it because have you experienced it? Okay.
So
I've experienced it. I experience it daily.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even on a short run, you would experience runner's high.
I don't do short runs. Well, I say short. 8Ks is the shortest.
Okay.
I don't have that short.
That's not short.
But when you start off, it's the worst feeling in the world. Your feet are heavy. You really struggle. Now, normally you get tighter as you go on, right? It makes sense as anything. But running becomes easier the longer you do it.
Yeah, right.
And it's not like, and it gets to a point where it deteriorates after that if you go for too long. But for me, the running becomes less pain, less, because you always, I'm 55, I have achy this and shitty that.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like, once you start running, the pain goes away. And that's because of the runner's high.
Yeah. So,
and that's because of the cannabinoids, which is amazing.
Cannabinoids, yeah. So,
and speaking of big printouts, we've got a big printout on it.
You've got a really big printout on it.
You got one too. You got printed one out for you. It's like a bloody, and it goes on where it's affected throughout the body. So this runner's high is a good thing. We're going to nut down cardiovascular things a bit later, but this is really important. This actually shows you got two different CB receptors, cannabinoid receptors 1 and 2. One is typically in the brain, so you feel better because you release these cannabinoids, and then you got 2 throughout the body. So you have, systemic effects and all those sorts of things, and absolutely incredible. Even the GI tract, we've got lungs involved, stomach, liver, pancreas, all that sort of thing, and bones and muscles, all sorts of things. Yeah. So we've got a nice chart there, which
I'll
is
hold it up if you're watching.
Oh yeah.
Not watching.
So that's what it does. Now there's some good, and I'll say some bad in there.
Yeah, there's good and bad.
Not all. It's good, but it's not all good. So go through some of the effects of it.
Well, so it elevates your mood, obviously, as we talked about.
Yes.
So you get that sense of euphoria.
Yeah.
Reduces anxiety.
It does indeed.
It's an analgesic, as you said, so you reduce pain.
It does. It absolutely reduces pain. You even your pains that aren't related to it. I've got a bad neck and thing at the moment. After you're running, you don't feel it.
Yeah, wow.
So it's a painkiller.
It promotes lipogenesis.
Aha. Promotes lipogenesis. Now, did you hear that for a sec? Promotes lipogenesis. Yeah. That's the cannabinoid. Now, why does it do that? It's because you're burning fat.
Yeah.
So you got to replace it.
Exactly.
And it sounds like you're going to get fat from running. You don't.
No, definitely don't.
So, yeah. What else to do?
So here's one that's maybe not so good. Decrease satiety signal, so you can get hungrier. So we all know about the cannabis and
I don't know about it, but you know about it. Oh, no.
I don't know about it. No,
so it's called getting the munchies.
Endocannabinoids, it can increase your hunger. Increase your hunger, which means can lead to increased food consumption.
Yep.
Which is not a bad thing if you're a runner, because we're going to talk a little bit about weight and everything and all that sort of thing as well. Right. There is research showing that it does sort of activate this endocannabinoid system, but they used to think that it was all endorphins that were creating that high.
That's right.
But, the more research they did on that, it was showing that endorphins are unable to cross the blood-brain barrier.
Yeah.
They're too molecularly too large. They can't cross over. So they're like, well, it can't be the endorphins then, so it must be this endocannabinoid hypothesis, because that can cross the blood-brain barrier, and we also know it's also produced in the brain, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there's that, and then now there's throw another little spanner in the works here.
Throw away.
There was a group of scientists that published research on enkephalin and dynorphin, which are two endorphins produced inside the brain, and showed that their levels went up with exercise. So it looks like there might be a bit of a combination of both, so the endocannabinoid system and these particular endorphins that are creating this runner's high.
I'll tell you what, the biggest runner high I did on was I did a 500-kilometre run. Okay. Now,
500 kilometres.
but it wasn't just me. It was a relay. It was over 3 days.
Okay.
So don't get excited that I ran 500 kilometres.
Wow, that's crazy.
But it was a group. We were in a bus, and you just it was for a charity, and you run around from sort of the Gold Coast back out to Toowoomba, Warwick, and back to the Gold Coast. It was a massive distance, 500 k's over 3 days, and the endorphins release because you're on the bus with your friends and you're all running as fast as you can because you want to get the lower time possible. It's like you're on drugs for 3 days.
Really?
It was just such a weird cultish sort of funny sort of, absolutely amazing weekend. I did it a few times, really look forward to it.
Yeah.
And this high is absolutely, real.
I'll do sprints on the walking machine. The treadmill.
Walking machine sounds like you're ancient. You got a little machine that helps you walk.
It's a treadmill, people.
Yeah.
I will do sprints on the treadmill, and I do feel really good afterwards.
Yeah, you do.
You feel it. So maybe that's kind of with it. Because I have run 5Ks before. That's the most I've ever run, and I did it just to prove that I could do it. Yeah. And then I never ever had to do it again. So I must say I did that 5Ks, and I hated every single metre of that 5Ks.
Was it a park run? Was it an event?
No, just ran around.
Just ran around the
joint. Just me just doing the whole couch to 5K thing back in the day. Remember that?
I remember that app,
Yeah. So I did that. Apps. And I just wanted to prove it. And then I didn't enjoy one bit of it. Not one bit. Wow. So I've never really ran again.
But it is funny how, like, when I say enjoy running, the idea of going for, and Beck, my wife, I sit there putting my shoes on. It takes me a long time because the starting of a run, it's like, oh, this is gonna suck. And it only when you get out there, when you're in the zone and the runner's high kicks in, is when you feel good.
Yeah.
And so you finish feeling good.
Yeah.
You get home, you're like, hey, all bubbly and everything. But starting it, like this morning, freezing cold, pitch black, nothing going. Got to go to work today. See you. It's like, oh God.
Hang on a minute. Oh God, to see me, or
it's like, but you just think, oh, I don't want to do that. It's like when I did, the marathon a few times.
Yeah, you just hold that up against me.
Yeah. Sorry, just get in camera there. Look at that. See, finisher. Yeah. See, look at that. Super effort that. But at the start, you're dreading it because you're in for pain.
Yeah.
And there's no ifs or buts about it. And the first person to run a marathon died.
So tell us the history of marathon, because it's a really cool story.
It is a funny story.
Yeah. Well, it's not funny, I guess.
I think it's funny. Someone dying. No, it's not funny. But the marathon is an interesting sort of, because there was this messenger, and we'll just call him a messenger. Philadetes was his name, and he had to get a message back, and it was sent from the battlefield of Marathon back to Athens.
What year was this?
490 BC.
Okay, so we're talking a little while ago.
A little bit, a few thousand years ago.
You're only a baby then.
The legend states that he was sent from the battlefield of Marathon to Athens and announced that the Persians had attacked. So the bloody Persians at it again. And so, so he had to get back to Athens, and it was exactly 26.2 miles away. So anyway, so he takes off to, and they've got to remember, this is pre-internet, pre-radios,
just before the internet,
pre-carrier pigeon, pre-everything. The only way you could tell it is to literally go back, and he obviously didn't have a horse or whatever, I don't know. So he took off and ran back to tell them that the Persians were invading. So of course it happened to be from Marathon to back to Athens was 26.2 miles, or just less than 42 kilometres. So it's a weird distance. It's not a 10,000 or whatever. So he ran back, told the invading armies, and died because he ran 26.2 miles.
You've got to give it to him that he didn't have brakes.
No. Well, it was invading army.
Oh, you
had to hurry. I don't know what time he did it in, but he should have timed it. He didn't get a medal on me. He didn't
get a medal, no.
No, he just literally died.
Yeah.
And so then after that, they memorialised him by repeating the distance, of course.
Yeah. So that's the history of marathon. So I found that really cool because I didn't know that. Until you told me a while ago.
It was 490 BC.
Yeah,
so amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, and they've been doing the marathon ever since.
And about a month ago on the Gold Coast, they did the marathon, and I didn't enter it. Stupid event that is. But yeah, and there were 10,000 people who ran the marathon, and you got to remember, there's something in that. Then there's something about this runner's high, and something about the achievement. The thing I got out of it the most was it gave you a purpose to train.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing I find with a lot of people that do different types of sports and things, is that having that goal is really what sort of drives them. So the goal of a marathon or even a half marathon, it's a really good goal to have. So
half marathons for wussies. There we go. I've offended probably another 10,000 people.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
But look, it's like, you're right. It's a half marathon, or they do 10K runs.
Yeah.
They do 5K puck. The idea is to, there's a saying about biting off more than you can chew and then chewing like hell.
Oh, I haven't heard that.
Oh, haven't you?
No, I haven't heard.
So it's like, okay, I'm going to enroll for the marathon. I'm 3 or 4 months out, and it's like, oh God, I've got to do the marathon. And it's not like yes, you can drop out of the race. It's not like there's someone with a gun to your head.
Yeah.
But you really want to finish something you've started. So when it comes to marathon running, you really want to, so you want to train for it. So, my first marathon, I was with a group of people. I lived at Hope Island, and we would run on a weekend quite commonly 30 kilometres.
Wow.
Which is a long way.
That's a long way, yeah.
Like I live from here, we're in Brisbane now, and I live on the Gold Coast. It's exactly 50 kilometres. That's only 8 kilometres more than a marathon.
Wow, that's great.
So it's like me stopping here at 4 o'clock when we finish, and I run home. And
why don't you run here and run home, Steve?
I run home, and I get home. I get home at 7:52.
Yeah.
Or, and that's like, to me, that's down the M1. That's like, and that thought of that is like, what the hell? It's a long way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the marathon it's a long time on your feet. And it's distance. It's not time on your feet. You've just got to get to that finish line.
Yeah.
And it's tricky and tough. So you have to be confident you can make it.
Yeah.
And the fastest time I did it in, I was confident because I'd done a few marathons before. I thought, I'm just going as fast as I bloody can.
How many marathons have you done, Steve?
I think about 4.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah, and the first one was like I made it. It was about 4.5 hours. I'm only saying 3:52 because that was my fastest time.
Yeah,
the rest of them were over 4 hours. I'll tell you. So I'm twice as slow as the fastest runner. But I still finished in the top half.
That's crazy.
Of the
I think if you finished at all, even if you come last, you finished, you really done a lot better than most people, right?
Well, I found the hardest one was the 4 hours and 30 minutes one because I ran for 4 hours and 30 minutes. The faster one was 3 hours and 52 minutes, so it was less time running.
Yeah.
And I trained better for that and got better at it and all that sort of stuff. So it's really tough. It is really, really tough. And there are some pros and cons, as you've pointed out some pros.
Right. So there's pros. I mean, there's a lot of pros. Just because I'm not a runner doesn't mean that I can appreciate.
Look, I can wear this medal around now.
I know, right?
That's a pro.
Exactly. That is a pro.
You didn't put that in your fancy list.
I didn't put it in my
fancy
list,
medals.
I didn't know because Steve pulls it out of his pocket. I don't know. Steve pulls everything out of a hat, and he's like, all these things he's done that no one knows, and suddenly he's like literally like being the president of another country or something. Like, that'll probably come up. I don't know. The things that Steve's done.
Lucky I'm not the president of the US or running for president.
Probably
probably dated by the time we put that out.
Yeah,
probably soon. But
yes. So there's lots of pros. So coming from a practitioner standpoint, I was looking at the positives and the negatives of things. So I'm not against running. I think running's awesome.
Yep.
It's just not for me. It's not for me. So I was looking at, what are some of the cons? And when I say cons, maybe they're things that people who run need to be just aware of and sort of work around so that they're not, fall into these sort of traps.
What are some of the cons in? Running's perfect.
That's right. Well, yes. So this is a con that I have seen a lot in the past with athletes, distance runners. And when we talk about running, we're not just talking about distance runners, any sort of running. It's recreational runners and, you can do the park runners. That's a pretty big thing now, park run. And
park run, 5Ks they are.
Yeah. Is there a weekend?
And that's a nice distance because you can, it's a tricky distance because you're not going to sprint it, but you're not going to take off really slow.
Yeah.
Because you won't catch the, if you're trying to go as fast as you can, you've got to pace yourself. It's like that mile run we'll talk a bit about later.
Yeah.
That's a weird distance, 100 metres, you just flat out anaerobic as fast as you can run, do a Usain Bolt thing. But these middle distances, I'll call them 5Ks, that's tricky to time.
Yeah. Okay.
So what are some of the cons?
So some of the cons, and this is probably more for people who are more, competition runners, I guess, that are training a lot, running a lot, is anemia. It's really common. I have seen it a lot in clinic, and even when I was PTing back in the day, I didn't train runners, but I have runners that would come and, do strength trainings, things like that in the gym as well. But anemia was really common. And I'm going to say more so with women, but then my sort of population that I see is mainly women, so I can't say that it is mainly just women. But there's a few different types of anemia that you see in runners. So I'll go through a couple of them. Athletic hemolysis.
Oh, breakdown of red blood cells?
Yeah, and this is what we used to think as we were taught back in the day, it was all about destruction of red blood cells.
Yeah.
That's why you had anemia in these people that did this strenuous exercise.
Right.
And that's because they basically said that impact would actually break down.
Yeah, I remember that.
Destroy the red blood cells, right?
Your blood's going through your foot and then you're squashing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was the reason that you would get anemia. So they're showing now that it's not really a thing as much as we thought it was. So generally you'll see with athletic hemolysis or destruction of red blood cells, you'll see a high mean cell volume.
Right.
Sometimes you can have blood in the urine, maybe not. You'll have low hemoglobin and hematocrit levels.
Yep.
But the thing is that it resolves within a couple of days.
Oh, good. Thanks.
So,
I was going to commit suicide now. This would be anemic.
So obviously, you get renewed blood cells and things like that. So that was the main reason they used to think that you'd have anemia. But like I said, it's not overly as common. And then you have, overt iron deficiency anemia can just be part of that. It's very common, but it's very common with a lot of athletes, not just running. And that's just a true iron deficiency anemia. So you can have low mean cell volume and high red blood cell width, low ferritin stores, and it'll only correct itself if you take iron supplementation to get your iron levels up. So that's an overt. And then acute anemia of exercise is another possible reason. And this is relatively common.
Yep.
So this is exercise-induced inflammation.
Ugh.
And we all know what happens when we have inflammation, right? So the body will then sort of sequester iron and put it in your stores because it doesn't know where the inflammation is coming from. Yep. So it could be infection. So the body will go, we're going to get all the blood out of, not all the blood, but reduce the blood because bacteria and things thrive on iron.
They do, yeah.
So your ferritin levels will go up, but your other markers will come down.
Okay.
So that's that, and that won't change if you have rest. So with the first athletic hemolysis, after a few days, it will all, the levels will go back to normal. So this won't change in the short term. But it will normalise if you have rest, because if you have rest, you're reducing your inflammation. Yeah. So that's a really common thing. So people can think, why am I anemic? Well, it could be because you are just having inflammation because you're running.
Sure.
If you're doing long distances, you're training a lot, that type of thing. You can have a bit of a destruction to red blood cells. It's not as common though. But that's something that we do see quite a bit. So it could be any one of those different types of anemia.
Geez, doesn't sound good. So yeah, that's interesting. So that's one of the side effects. I know you've got some more side effects. I've got another one here, which is for the guys in the room.
Yes.
Now, you know how it helps you, old fella? You've talked about that in detail before. What the problem with you've got that big paper that you throw on the floor now in embarrassment. But if you run more than 56 kilometres a week,
which isn't, we said before, it's not actually that much. If you're training for something, that's less than 10 Ks a day.
Oh, yeah. And I used to run when I was training for the marathon.
Yeah.
And what it finds is that you get lowered testosterone in men. So over 6 months of training, the men increased weekly running average to 56 kilometres a week. Total testosterone and free androgen index was decreased significantly. Good news, prolactin and cortisol were also decreased.
Oh, well, there you go.
So, yeah, it completely depletes everything. Just deplete the good and the bad. So that's interesting. And I don't run this distance anymore. I did 8Ks this morning. I might do about 20, 25 Ks a week now. No, it's not a lot because
no, it's not. Well, this is someone who doesn't run.
Yeah.
Although I do run. I ran on the beach the other day. I did say.
Really?
I did tell you guys that I ran on sprints. I did sprints on the beach.
Jeez, that's because you got a German Shepherd chasing you? Oh, you were chasing the dog.
Chasing the dog.
I thought it was a vicious German Shepherd attacking you.
I was chasing him. That's the only reason I ran.
Yeah.
But yeah, so...
What else is bad? What else can bad happen to you as, naturopath Nick? Because, you're a naturopath. You practice, you see people every day, naturopathy. You could Google Nicole Brown, naturopathy, will find you. You still practice this very day.
I do still practice, very
So what else is bad about running? I'm going to get some good stuff later. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It's all good.
It's not all bad.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking about you shitting yourself now.
Well, I'm now shitting myself on the podcast. What are you going to ask me now? I'm worried.
Gastrointestinal symptoms are really common
Yes.
in running. Distance, so endurance runners. So figures can be from 30 to 90% of endurance runners can have gastrointestinal symptoms, so bloating, cramping, heartburn, reflux, diarrhea. So we have a story about diarrhea. We didn't know this, Matt told us about it. There was a runner called Robert De Castella back in the 80s.
Love him. Got the mo and everything.
Amazing runner.
Awesome runner.
Yeah. And in the 1982 Commonwealth Games, he won the race.
Good. That's all good.
It is all good. But halfway through, I don't know when it was close to the end possibly, he started getting stomach cramps and he actually got diarrhea. So he did defecate, but he kept going and then won the race, which is pretty awesome, right?
I'd love that.
Yeah. But that's just to highlight that this is not an
highlight or low light?
Oh, it could be. Well, I guess it's like his low light and his highlight really much in one, wasn't it, really?
Yeah.
Pipped his pants and then won Commonwealth Games gold. All within the space of...
I'd put up with that embarrassment to win gold, I guess.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Good on him.
And you know what? It's just the body doing the body's thing.
Body thing. It does happen.
It does happen. And why does it happen?
Well,
because
you can say why it does. And I know one reason why it does is because a lot of runners drink a lot of fluids, magnesiums for muscles and all that. And if you overdose that, you're in trouble. But what have you got? What's some of the major problems you come across?
So one way is for the neuroendocrine gastrointestinal pathway. That increases the nervous system activation.
Yep.
That leads to reduced GI function. And we talked about that with stress before. So it's the same sort of principle. Low GI function. Another one is loss of intestinal epithelial integrity.
Right.
From running. So that can happen, which then can result in intestinal ischemia or blood loss.
Yep.
And then that can end up being causing intestinal permeability. And then we all know what can happen when you have intestinal permeability. All sorts of stuff, immune system issues, hyperstimulation, all that sort of thing. So a lot of it can be mechanical friction as well. So you can get that mechanical friction from up and down.
Yeah.
And that can impact the gastrointestinal tract as well. So really, really common to get these sorts of things. So as you said, a lot of it can be the things they're taking in, the gels and the fluids and that sort of thing. And also your nutrition, if you're particularly doing competition pre and post, you've got to get that right so you don't get the gut stuff as well.
Yeah.
But that's really common. Gastrointestinal issues is super, super common. So that's another thing to be mindful of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jeez. Bad news, eh?
That's bad news.
Well, all right, so GI is bad, but what are some of the common injuries you see with people who run too much? And then we'll start talking about some positives and all this sort of stuff in each person. But what are some of the problems that the distance extreme runners put up with, not weekend warriors?
No, not weekend warriors. And I looked this up because I don't run, so I don't get on these things. But runner's knee, Steve, if you have runner's knee. Yeah, runner's knee.
It's a pain because you're putting stress on your knee. And there's studies to show that this occurs, but there's studies to show that when it comes to osteoarthritis, which is like that wear and tear thing, you do get pain in your knees because, you just... Oh, I do anyway. There was a study on this. It was really interesting. And it was a systemic review. It's called The Effects of Running on the Development of Knee Osteoarthritis. So you do get pain for strain, but when it comes to osteoarthritis, running is not associated with worsening, and it may be protective against it, and generalized knee pain. But you do get runner's knee, and that's a pain in the knee. Absolutely. So that's certainly one thing.
Yeah. Iliotibial band syndrome.
I get pain on that band, and I crave someone getting a thumb and poking it, and just it's tight. It's temporary. It doesn't just kill me, but I get that because that's a thing that bugs me. And when I go for a massage or something, and someone just digs in there, it just feels great.
Oh, okay.
I get Beck to do it, and she complains, I don't want to touch your feet. I'm
a cute Beck. I don't touch feet either.
But we're married. Isn't that like,
I don't touch feet.
It's not a wife's duty to touch a man's feet?
No, Steve. No, you're going to get hate mail on that
another email. Yep, that's another one.
So that's like runs basically from sort of the back around the hip and down the outside, and you can sort of have pain in the hip or the knee, or even the bone. It can rub on the bone and cause pain as well. So that's really common. Plantar fasciitis.
Yep.
So that's that really painful one. We get pain in the heel. It's like that plantar sort of is thickens and goes tight, and knee and on the sole of your feet. That's really common as well. Stress fractures.
Yes, you get stress fractures.
Well.
Yep.
And Achilles tendonitis.
I had that. I had that. That was one I had, and I treated it, and with shockwave therapy and some other product that I can't really talk about, and it helps the tendons. Absolutely.
So they're some of the most common injuries apparently that are showed up. It's interesting. A lot of them are sort of tendon issues, really, aren't they? Look at those, tightening of the tendons and things, and then joints. And this is a paper that I got from the American Orthopedic Society for Sports Medicine.
Oh, what would they know?
What would they know? I know.
Probably know something.
So this was a survey, and it was distributed to all participants registered for the 2019 or 2021 Chicago Marathon. So there was nearly 38,000 participants.
So these are active long-distance runners,
So long-distance runners took a lot of their data, like family history, surgical history, running history, all of that sort of thing. So 3,804 participants completed it. It's only 10% of the people. But the mean age was roughly 43.9. So nearly 44 years old.
So young.
Pretty young.
As far as I'm concerned, they're young.
So for us, 43 is young. I'm 43 again. The prevalence of hip and or knee arthritis was 7.3%. So, and then there was like cumulative numbers of years running, number of marathons completed, weekly mileage and mean running pace were not significant predictors for arthritis. So basically it's showing after this survey that significant risk factors for hip and knee and arthritis were more age, BMI, and previous injury or surgery rather than just the running.
Correct. Yeah. So, I mean, age, family history and BMI, the two of those three things you can't change, but BMI you can change, and running actually improves the BMI.
Yeah. Does.
Wow.
So it's not really as bad on the joints as maybe people might think it is.
It sounds like it would be bad on your joints, but you got to remember that cartilage is a clear agent. It's got no blood circulation until you exercise.
Yeah.
And if you don't exercise, your cartilage will disintegrate.
That's right.
No weight bearing.
Yeah.
It's very bad. The worst exercise is none at all, as we always say. So this is very interesting to study. And I love there's some more figures here. I love it. What percentage of them plan to do another marathon, the idiots?
Oh, I didn't see that bit.
Oh, 94.2%.
Really?
In that
That's
study.
crazy. Yeah.
Despite, and this is what I love, 24.2% of all participants being told by a physician, a doctor, to do otherwise. Don't do it again.
Don't
Screw
do it again.
you, doc. I'm doing it again. What is the mentality?
Well, maybe it's that runner's high, Steve.
Oh, yeah,
addiction.
It is.
They're like, I'll do that again.
But there are some other benefits. We'll get to those in a sec. But absolutely. There's we're doing the bad and then the good. So
we
might as well
did a bit of good. We're doing a good sandwich, Steve. Do good, bad in the middle, and good again. Yeah. It's like a compliment sandwich.
Because I think, from my thinking with all this research, and I've got papers in front of me, the overall take-home message is I think running can be very beneficial.
And we'll do the summary. Yeah, we'll summarise what we think at the end, but I do also think it can be very beneficial.
It can, yeah. Okay, but let's go for the bad runners, the overtraining syndrome.
Yeah.
You've got a paper here that you found called Overtraining Syndrome, a Practical Guide. Holy mackerel.
Yeah.
I'm not in this. I was probably at one stage.
I mean, I have had overtraining syndrome.
Oh, yes, you have. Different sport.
I have had female triad, actually, which is a different thing again.
Yeah.
But overtraining syndrome, this can be probably for more your sort of more competition runners, I guess, that are running a lot. So, athletes, so this can be quite problematic, and a lot of athletes can actually suffer from this.
Yep.
So a lot of the symptoms, or some of the symptoms, there's a lot of them, can be increased fatigue.
Yep.
So that doesn't improve with rest.
Yeah.
Reduced exercise performance. So, you could be training, your performance is becoming worse and worse and worse.
Yep.
Increased injuries, sleep disturbances, headaches, increased colds, or you've got a suppressed immune system, so you never get sick. Irritability, low mood or depression, anxiety, decreased or increased appetite, hormonal imbalances, including menstrual irregularities, which is really common. So amenorrhea, I see a lot.
Yeah.
That was what happened to me. I didn't have
amenorrhea means you're not menstruating. Which is bad.
It's bad.
It means you're usually not ovulating, therefore your hormones are very low.
Very low hormones. And a lot of that is because the body fat's very low. So that can be one reason, particularly Weight gain can be another thing as well. So people are like, what's happening? I'm training and I'm dieting and nothing's changed and suddenly I'm putting on weight.
That's weird.
So that can be from overtraining as well.
Yeah.
Low blood pressure and low blood pressure.
Yep. Blood pressure.
Bradycardia, which is the low heart rate.
And too low, below 40.
Low. Yeah. So I had that too, and I used to feel like I'd have to cough to get it going.
Oh, God.
Sometimes, as my heart rate used to sit below 40 when I was when I was really burnt out. Thyroid suppression, digestive issues. So there's a lot of symptoms involved in overtraining syndrome.
Yeah.
This
is running, but also other things.
Other things, yeah, but I mean, any sort of, if you're looking at it from more, if you're on a level where a competition level, you're an athlete, then these are things that you really have to be mindful of, and that's why having good training programs and things really are important. So you're getting that rest period, so you don't end up with overtraining syndrome. Mm-hmm. So there's loads of oxidative stress, so increased oxidative stress. Yep. Low muscle glycogen, all that sort of thing. So there's a lot. The HPA axis and all that sort of thing.
That's your stress axis,
Yeah, all that sort of thing. So that's something to be mindful of, particularly people who, and look, I have seen clients in the past who are athletes and they come to me because of females. I have no period and my thyroid's out and this is out and that's out, and that's because they're overtraining. A lot of times their body fat's very low. So, and that's another thing we can talk about with runners is professional runners, their body fat can be very low because obviously it burns a lot of calories.
Yep.
And then with women, if your body fat's too low, it doesn't impact your reproductive system. So then that will shut down to a degree. You can lose your period because you need a certain amount of body fat to produce hormones.
Of course.
So that's one to be really mindful of, particularly if you're more of in that professional or, you're doing competitions on a regular basis, that type of thing. So
I get you. So there's a lot of problems with doing too much of anything.
Yeah, definitely.
Too much of a good thing, I guess. Yeah. And I say good thing because running's a good thing, and we should sort of talk about all this sort of stuff now about the positives.
Yeah, and it is addictive, and I think that's because you said with the runner's high, and because it's so addictive, people then possibly can end up going too far, losing maybe too much body fat, and then having these issues because the addiction of it. And I get it. I'm addicted to exercise, different types of exercise, but sometimes people don't want to stop, no matter what's going on around.
Well, that's right. That's right. I mean, there's lots of positivities to this exercise business too, the running, I should say, and we should start talking about that too, because that's overtraining.
Yeah.
But now let's take a step back and say you're a runner that's like normal like me, because I'll do a run and then I'll go to the gym 2 days and then I'll run.
Yeah.
Do legs, upper body, and then run again. So I run about every third day.
Yeah.
So I'm not like every morning I go for 20 Ks. No, it's just on weekends I'll go for a slightly longer run.
Yeah.
But during the weekdays it's a bit shorter. All right. So running. Let's look at some of the positives now. Yeah. Now it is a cardiovascular exercise.
Yeah.
So it's very beneficial for the cardiovascular system.
Yes.
So this is a bit obvious. So we didn't put studies in on this, but there are lots of studies on that showing how good it is for your heart. Not excessive.
No.
But, cardiovascular exercise was it gets its name from.
Yes.
And one of the benefits, the mechanisms is aerobic exercise benefits your lipids and all sorts of things incredibly so. Now, we've got a chart here, and you've got one in front of those. This is showing it up to the camera. Look at all those arrows going everywhere, and you see right at the very top in yellow, if you're watching this, but you'll see it says aerobic exercise. And the benefits under there are literally too long to mention. But basically, it boosts the good cholesterol, reduces the bad cholesterol, improves the oxidative stress if you have moderate exercise, great for muscle growth even and the right thing, and reduces like adipogenesis and all sorts of things, but ends up reducing oxidized LDL cholesterol. Yeah. So that's super beneficial for your cholesterol levels. Yeah. Now, what your cholesterol levels should be depends on the study you're reading, but LDL is considered the bad cholesterol if it's too high. Now, what is too high? Well, there's major studies on that, and we've got...
There's a new paper came out. We think we might do a whole podcast on this because this seems to be people still struggle with LDL cholesterol and what should be. And
this is interesting because in this particular study, and I'm going to read it out because people are not going to believe me. It's the British Medical Journal. Is LDL cholesterol associated with long-term mortality, in other words, death, among primary prevention adults? So no one hasn't had a heart attack. So this is a big cohort study from a large healthcare system. And what they basically found was it's a U-shaped relationship. So if LDL is it's like a shape, think of a U if you're listening at home. And if it's too low, you've got a high rate of death. That's one side of the U. And if it's too high, you've got a high rate of death. Now, that probably people are going, yeah, that makes sense to me. You don't want too low. So what is the optimal range? Well, it's around about 3.5, the LDL levels, 3.5 plus or minus 1.
Yeah.
So that's like way higher than what...
it should be below, according to the medical community, it should be below 2.5 for LDL.
Yep. And if it's below 2.5, you're at a slightly higher risk of dying.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a little bit, so we've been a little bit misled with LDL cholesterol.
Yeah, people really are very confused by it, because I think we did a podcast on cholesterol and LDL a while ago, but we might do another one because new studies have come out. But
and the different size of the particles and lipoprotein B and lipoprotein A and all this sort of stuff. Yeah. It's very HDL cholesterol, good cholesterol, bad cholesterol. But so exercise will help with your cholesterol levels dramatically, and that sort of goes without saying. But what I liked about this particular the studies here was it actually, and this is a paper you're gonna love this, called "Running Changes in the Brain."
Ooh, I like that.
So what running benefits your brain, and what it does is, and I'm going to read the conclusion first. I'll love the opening statement. Exercise is a simple intervention that can profoundly benefit cognition. So, we talk about cognitive aids and all this sort of thing. The most important one's exercise. What we know in rodents, what we do is we put them on a treadmill and their hippocampus grows. So running, it's because they don't do weights. Rats.
What's wrong with them, Steve?
I know. You
they can't fit the barbells in the cage, or?
Yeah, I don't know why they don't give them put on a weight program. Yeah. But the great thing about rats is that after you've finished testing with them, you can cut their brains open and have a look at them.
Yep.
So can't do that with humans. No ethics. But you can do it for a rat. So what they did was they put them on a running machine, and some on the running and some didn't run, and they just walked around normally. But the running machine ones grew the hippocampus, which is a part of the brain that processes memory.
Wow.
And what we know in humans is the development of new neurons in the adult brain by running.
Wow.
And that's because of a chemical called brain-derived nerve growth factor. This is the name suggests, it grows new nerves. Yeah. And running is a very powerful upregulation of that. Wow. So absolutely amazing that you can...
actually change your brain from running.
Grow your brain from running.
Get smarter from running, Steve.
And it isn't funny, because if you're smart, you don't run.
That's
as they
true,
say.
actually. Yeah, that's a good point.
But it does grow your brain. And that's part of the benefits of this running aspect on your brain, how it really helps your brain dramatically, apart from the cannabinoids and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, the endocannabinoids are great.
Yep. Yeah. So it's good. But another benefit, and I'm going to read this title out because I just love this title. Oh,
this is a good title.
This is it's called Outrunning the Grim Reaper. The longevity of the first 200 sub 4-minute male runners. Okay. Why they say male? Because no women have run sub 4 minutes.
I didn't. You said that earlier, and that's a surprise. Come on, girls. Someone's got to, get
even
up
if you're
and run sub 4.
We were talking about the new girls could do it. The ones that
That's the ones
not the ones with vulvas and stuff.
Not the ones that were born female.
Yeah,
we're talking about not the ones that are born female. There's none of them that have done it.
No. They're the fastest female runners 407.
Yeah, and tell us about the mechanism. I love this, Steve, because I'm like, this is me all over. Because I have hips, right? I have female hips.
Do you? Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed you had female hips.
And this is funny because my argument was, I was tongue-in-cheek, was my hips are too heavy. That's why I can't run.
Heavy.
It's too heavy. But the angle of our pelvis obviously is different to males because some women have babies, right?
What?
Some do.
Some
don't. Yeah. So so men obviously straight up and down, women are on that angle.
Yeah.
So there's, you tell us.
So when you drive off, let's say your angle's wider. Say you're a woman, you got 120 degree hips that are really wide. Males about, I think, 90 degrees. And so you got wider hips like that. So when you kick off from the ground, the force doesn't go straight through, it goes on more of an angle. So with more of an angle, if you think of, if you remember Pythagoras, remember him?
Yeah.
Mathematician?
Yeah.
Where you've got Pythagoras' theorem. And the more angle you've got, the less force you're going in that direction. The adjacent is what they call in trigonometry, it shrinks down. So the force shrinks down. So women drive less force through the hips. Also, they got less muscle mass and women are weaker,
Yeah, I mean, that's not actually true, but yeah.
Oh, well, you're probably stronger than me.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, no.
But there's a lot of women out there who have a lot more muscle mass than men, and there's a lot of strong women out there. So, girls, I'm going to stand up for you on that one. But
I'm not.
But yes, the mechanics of the running, that's why men are faster, which makes complete sense.
It does. Now, fastest man's about 3:43 these days.
Yeah.
So Bannister in the 50s, Roger Bannister, I think it was, who ran the first 4-minute mile. That was, and you were saying it before, we were talking about, it's like once you break that record, everyone does it.
Well, I mean, that's that biology belief type things that if you until you, because I work on the premise of believe it, then you'll see it. But there's a whole saying is see it and then believe it. So a lot of people have to see something to actually think that they can do it. So because no one had broken the 4-minute mile, I thought, it's impossible, no one can do it. As soon as somebody did it, there was like, actually humans can do it. And then everyone did it. It's that belief, that biology belief.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So what they did in this particular study was that they looked at the first 200 sub 4-minute runners. Okay, they picked the first 200. And the reason is that the 100% male, 60 of them were dead and 140 were still alive.
Hang on, what? They were dead afterwards or before?
No, they've died since. Like Bannister did this in the 50s.
They didn't die in the
No.
I'm like, what?
They're just now dead.
Okay. They've since passed on.
Since passed on. A lot of these were 60s and 50s, when they, Bannister was the 50s, I think. And when he first did it, that was a miracle. That was like, because
superhuman feat.
Yeah. It's like the 2-hour marathon it got broken recently. So, and when we talked about our mate, Dick Costello in the 80s, he was doing 2:10s, 2:12s. So, it's dropped 10 minutes since then, which is remarkable. Crazy. I mean, geez, that's fast. That
is fast, yeah.
I mean, I know, like, I'm better at sprinting than distance running, believe it or not. We're in my run club when we did tests, and I was always one of the fastest sprinters.
Oh, there you go.
Which is weird. And so, but my sprinting was about as fast as the marathon runners.
Really?
Yeah.
So he literally did your sprint for the whole marathon?
The whole race.
Wow,
42
that's crazy
Ks.
when you look at it like that.
It's just, I did about 3 minutes something for the 1K.
Yeah.
And that's what they average.
Yeah, right. Wow.
Over 42 Ks.
That's crazy.
The Kenyan runners, all those gorgeous,
they're amazing.
super athlete
They're
runners.
like just born athletes.
Oh, they are. But anyway, so we looked at these first 200 and 30% dead, still alive. Sub 4-minute mile runners lived an average of 4.7 years beyond their predicted life expectancy.
There you go.
So those elite runners, and they're super duper trainers, right? You train, you overrun, you do all that sort of thing, but you live longer.
Yeah.
And the conclusion of the study was sub 4-minute mile runners have increased life longevity compared with the general population. Now, when we say compared to the general population, mostly the general population is unhealthy.
That's true.
But these people, and we should read the whole study. Of course I did because I'm a nerd. But what they said was, okay, remember after you finish competing, a lot of athletes don't bother keeping fit.
Yeah, that's actually a huge thing. Yeah. Nutrition goes out the window. I think a lot, well, I don't know, this is probably just from outside perspective, because they've spent so many years being so regimented with training and diet and, all of that sort of thing, that when they stop, they just completely go the other way because they've been doing it for so long that they just want to break.
Well, you see some of the rugby league players, I'm going to pick on them a bit now, but most of them will let themselves go. Yeah. And they're quite large. And
a lot of them had dietitians and nutritionists and everything working with them when they were doing professional sport, and now they don't. So they're like, I'm just going to...
They tend to put on the weight. It's funny because the fastest mile runner was recorded over 25 years ago.
Really?
Yeah. Isn't that amazing? In the last 25 years, the mile, no one's run faster than this guy. So, remarkable. A Moroccan, actually. So he had some sort of super speed thing that but he did 3:43. Wow. That's remarkable, isn't it?
It's pretty amazing.
For the mile.
Yeah.
Now, you got to remember that 3:43, that's that's a mile is 1.6 kilometres. So that's very fast running. But isn't it funny that they increased their longevity? And studies, that's 2024 study. But there's been lots of other studies. And this title is the classic, Running as a Key Lifestyle Medicine for Longevity.
Yeah, there you go.
Now, in general, runners have a 25 to 40% reduced risk of premature mortality and live approximately, in this study, 3 years longer.
Only 3 years. Yeah, so if it's only 3 years, I'm happy not to run that. I'll take that 3 year loss.
But the three.
If I don't have to run. I mean, I exercise though. That's got to count.
Yeah. I mean, we just this is just
purely running.
But I love the first part of this is interesting. 3 years is good. Okay, you want to live 3 years on, good. But in general, runners have a 25 to 40% reduced risk of premature mortality. So you'd be less likely to die.
Pretty big. Percentage, isn't it?
And that's published in the Progressive Cardiovascular Disease Journal 2017, Running as a Key Lifestyle Medicine for Longevity. So I just thought I'd give you that.
Add that to your longevity protocol, running?
Very much so. Now, I'm going to sort of, let's say you hate distance running. I'm going to try because not many people like running. What if you do what they call HIIT training, HIIT running?
That's what I do on the beach when I'm chasing my dog.
Exactly. Come here, Ruger. How can he not hear you with those ears, though?
I know. No, because he's running into the wind.
Oh.
He's usually chasing a bird or something.
If he's running into the wind, he won't be running very fast. He's not very aerodynamic.
No, he's not. No, but his ears go flat, Steve, when he runs.
Do they?
Yeah, when he runs, his ears go flat. And it improves his aerodynamic abilities. Yeah.
Those ears.
Yeah. He will grow into them.
They're cute.
They're not massive. They're normal.
Cute ears. Okay. I love this. So this is, I disagree with it. This is a study, a review paper on high-intensity interval training on exercise capacity and health, a review with historical perspective. And what they found was that in these people who do this HIIT training, which means you run fast and you stop, like you do at the beach, it's resulted in what they term a higher enjoyment. Now, is it more enjoyable to run fast and stop?
Yeah, I do. You know what? Yes.
Yeah.
I would say yes because I enjoy sprinting.
Well, good news. It induces adaptation similar to or greater than moderate intensity continuous training despite the lower total exercise volume. So let's play it down a bit. Let's say it's equivalent.
Yeah.
Then if you're going to run fast and then stop and then run fast, you're going to be better off. You don't have to run as far.
Yeah.
You'll still get the benefits and you're still running.
Yeah.
So quite interesting.
I used to, I've never trained runners.
Yep.
I'm not really who I used to train, but when we were out, we'd do sort of, outside work away from the gym sometimes. And I used to get people to sprint between the telephone poles. But probably not a lot of telephone poles around now, is there? They're all on the ground, aren't they now?
Yeah.
But they never used to be.
No.
So you'd sprint from one telephone pole to the next. I don't know what the distance was. And then you'd sprint and then you'd walk a telephone pole, then you'd sprint again. So that's kind of your HIIT.
It's
as fast as you can, So that's a good way to do it as well. Get outside.
More good news if you're a hitter. I'll call it that. Another study, high-interval training reduces transcriptic age in this randomized controlled trial. So that was 2022, and it's published in Aging Cell. And a low dose of high-intensity interval training can reduce and messenger RNA race measure of biological age in sedentary adults, 40 to 65. So you can actually turn the clock back by doing this interventional running. Yeah. And that's absolutely incredible. And another study, longevity, but also let's talk about on aerobic and anaerobic capacity. Now, results suggest that although HIIT protocols are time efficient, they are not superior to conventional exercise training in sedentary young adults. So it doesn't matter what you do, as long as you exercise.
Do something.
So this HIIT was not superior, it wasn't inferior, equivalent.
Yeah.
So, get out there and hit the road and run is what this is saying. Now, anti-aging is not just like, you live 3 years, as you said. That's not bad. That's probably probably 3 to 4% increased longevity. That's all right.
Yeah.
But it's the reduction of disease.
It's the quality that we talked about, that health span versus lifespan. So lifespan is just living to a certain point, whether you're good, bad, or whether you're sick or not. And health span is getting there in a healthy way, no chronic diseases or anything like that.
It's all about, this is going to sound very strange, but dying healthy.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to die, of old age, not chronic disease.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, my grandmother died of Alzheimer's, and her last few years were terrible.
Same.
Real bad.
Yeah.
You know how bad it is.
Yeah.
And not knowing anything, not knowing, in a home, bedridden. And yet I've got an auntie who's 92, who's just gone into assisted living care.
Yeah.
And she's still cognizant. She's still, she got a walker, but that's my dad's older sister.
Wow.
And my dad, who's 88, he still takes his dog. He's got a Hungarian Vizsla.
Yeah.
Oh, what is the face for?
No, I like them.
They're
I like
good
them.
looking.
They're good. They're beautiful looking dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're.
Unlike the furry German Shepherd things.
Like the fairy German
No,
Shepherd.
they're
That's
cute
right,
though.
they're cute.
But that keeps him going and keeps him fit.
They're very
and so,
energetic too, those dogs.
yeah, they are. So he now walks 4 Ks a day with the dog.
Yeah.
Which keeps him extraordinarily healthy, and he's doing very well. My mother, 81, still goes to the gym and still healthy, lives on her own, very healthy. They're separated.
I was going to say she's
Separated 50 years ago.
Wow.
Well, I was 5, so 50
Wow.
years ago.
I didn't know your parents were separated. You never actually mentioned that.
Oh, okay.
Because you say you're going down to see my family.
I do.
So I just assume they're in one place.
Yes,
They're not.
it's funny because for all of my life, pretty much, I'm 55.
Yeah.
When I was 5, they separated.
Ah,
So,
and they never, did any of them remarry? Either of them?
yeah,
remarry? Oh.
my mum remarried, my dad remarried twice, and he's on his 3rd marriage now.
Okay.
My
Whoops,
mum
it
got
became
remarried and then redivorced.
Okay, we might just finish right
Yes.
there. Let's move on.
I know. It's like, and it's funny because my mum and dad we still hang out at Christmas together at my
that's
sister's
nice.
place.
Yeah.
So it's not like,
They don't hate each other or anything.
No, and he only lives 10 Ks from where my mum lives, and when I go down there, they're all in the same part of Melbourne, southeast sort of suburbs.
Yeah.
But it's funny because when I go to Melbourne, because I'm away from the gym, the chief exercise I do is running.
Right, and that's what when we circle back to the beginning, when we said if you can't, and that's when people say, I can't exercise, there's nowhere around, I'm away, or there's no gym nearby, or anything, but you can always run. Always run. Walk out the door and run.
I've got a funny story about that. Because when I run, I go to my mother still lives in the same area that where we grew up years ago. So I run to my old primary school.
Oh wow!
From my mother's place.
Yeah, wow.
It's 12 kilometres.
Yeah.
So it's a nice distance for me.
Yeah.
And I run past Southmore Primary School, where I used to live at primary school, and then run back and go past where I used to live in Hampton, Hyatt, Moorabbin, and then go back to Hampton where my mum was. So it's absolutely, it's like going down memory lane.
My primary school's gone.
Really? But you're so old, I guess.
I know. That's when you know you're old, when your primary school is now a housing estate.
Shit.
It's gone.
Mine's still there.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Look, it's changed a bit, I have to be honest with you, because I started there 50 years ago.
50 years ago. That's a long time.
I was 5 and I'm
I know.
55 now.
You're old,
I'm
Steve. You're
freaking old.
Yeah, you are.
But if I can still run 12 Ks.
That's true. Yeah, exactly. What excuse do other people have? So,
well, as I said, there's many excuses.
I don't run, so I really can't talk.
Yeah. But let's say, when I go camping with the 4-Wheel Drive Club, I go running just to explore the area. I don't break any records. I don't go, but I get out and move and that, and you can do that quite anywhere.
Yeah.
I struggle to find excuses not to run. Now, don't like it. If you don't like it, your body likes it. We've proven your body likes running. So even if you don't run, consider it.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't. It's very beneficial for you if you do moderate exercise, great for your heart. And I believe it helps me in the gym.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You're more cardiovascular fit.
Yeah, definitely that is true. Yeah. Yeah.
Less break time. You can recover from your exercise quicker.
Yeah.
I think the biggest benefits for me, because I don't struggle with my weight, I eat well, of course, I'm a naturopath, but I think that the advantage about running, or let's say, intermittent running, whatever you want to call it. And HIIT's different. So even if you're unfit, HIIT is still just running slow and then walking.
Yes.
It's not.
It's relative to your level of fitness.
Yeah.
So you don't have to go 100 mile an hour and actually kill yourself to do that. But cardiovascular fitness is very important, and it's part of a well-rounded sort of training sort of program, I guess. I'm a massive advocate for, I do a lot of cardiovascular training. It's just not running that I do. But running is, there's so many benefits. We've shown And look, have we got more studies there? Have we done the studies?
Well, we've done most of them. There's one more on HIT, but I won't worry about that because it's all pretty obvious here. So yeah, that's pretty much all the studies. So what, the take-home message from this and what I love about running is you can do it anywhere.
Yeah.
I don't have a gym in Melbourne to go to, but I go for a run.
Yeah.
So there's no excuses even if you're going on holidays. Because if, let's say, you go to holidays and, you go somewhere like up near your, say you go to Harvey Bay, you can always get out from the hotel or something and just go for a run along the water's edge there. Or, you don't have to, and you just pack runners. Look, the shoes I'm wearing here are old running shoes. And so I've got running shoes on now. They're very comfortable because, and you can just take them anywhere. Yeah. And run.
And they're very light. I bought a new pair of runners the other day and they were not cheap, but they.
What do you buy runners for?
Oh, well, that's true. Good point. I do exercise, Steve. But they were so light when I was carrying them out. I thought they forgot to put them in the box. They're that light. So they're amazing. The gear's amazing now. And they're super light. So you can put them in your bag and super light. But yes, and I think I'm going to throw you under the bus, Steve.
Do it.
And say, if someone wanted to start running, where would you sort of suggest? How would you suggest they start that?
Okay, first start is habits.
Yeah.
So don't. If I was to suggest someone, I'd suggest them to run in the morning for many reasons, because they're more likely to comply to that. So the first thing I'd say is just get up 15 minutes before you start. Yeah. 15 minutes before you normally get up. So say it's 6 o'clock, it's 5:45, and people go, I can't get that. You can get up that early. What time did you get up this morning?
I got up at 2:30.
All right, that's pretty crazy.
That's crazy.
I got up at 4:30 and I went for a run before work, and so there's this mental block, like the 4-minute mile, that you can't get up earlier than you currently do. Yeah, and you always can.
Yeah. And you miss if you don't get up early, like the days, where you live, with amazing
I saw those
mornings,
photos,
sunset, sunrises, but it's the most amazing part of the day. Yeah. Even when I've got to drive down here and I leave at 4:30 in the morning, I watch the sun come up and it's amazing, and people miss that. So there's that part of it as well as part of early morning.
Just set get an alarm clock on my phone, set it 15 minutes early, get up. As soon as the thing, just swig some water and just get out on the road. You don't have to run, just get that habit of getting out there. And then, walk for 10 minutes and then try a little jog when you're heading back home or something. Yeah. And just do 15 minutes. It's not like you're going out there and going to kill yourself. It's the habit. Yeah. And drop the excuses. I struggle with, I've got this, I've got that, I don't want to strain myself. And we're not talking about the overtraining thing won't affect you.
I think we've sort of laid out that running, really, if we look at the summary of it all, is really a lot more benefits than there is any negatives. And the negatives, can be more for people who are more seasoned runners, more, a little bit up in that sort of athletes and doing competitions and things. But for the average, just get out and do a bit of exercise, there is really no downside to it.
No downside. So get out there and do it. Of course, runners are, you don't have to buy flash running shoes, especially if you're just starting off.
I mean, they look good though. I did buy running shoes because they look no, but I had the choice of 2 different ones, but I bought the pretty ones.
But
I'm a runner kind of like, because I've spent years in runners. When I say runners, like joggers. I don't buy runners to run, but but I spent half my life in the gyms, working and training in gyms. So I used to go through runners like crazy. So I'm a bit of a runner snob. I like my runners to be a certain thing. But
you don't have to be like the flashiest run. Yeah.
But you should actually buy a good quality shoe, because that will reduce injuries and things like that. So they're very good now, runners.
Yeah, they are. I get Femero ones. They're really good, or I get them online. There's pretty cheap ones online, and you just get whatever works for you. But really, everyone's got shorts or leggings or whatever you've used to run it. You don't need anything else.
You don't need any fancy.
No
one cares.
No one cares. No. It's there was remember that movie with now what was his name? Think of his name now. Mel Gibson.
Oh yeah.
And he played he was a marketing executive. And he came up with this famous saying for Nike. And he said the road doesn't care what you look like; it only cares that you visit it once in a while.
Oh, okay.
And that was his famous catchprise about advertising. And it's true.
Yeah, that's true.
It does. Oh, it was pitch black when I went for a run this morning.
Well, I mean, yeah, I've always been a get up early in that I love to exercise in the dark if I'm not in the gym, that is.
Yeah.
But I guess if there's a safety issue, I guess with women, you've got to be careful where you live. But I always love in the dark. I don't know why. It's just get it done. And but yes, it's no one's. It's not a fashion show out there.
No, and
everyone's too busy gasping for air to care about what anyone else
you don't care. And look, all right, let's say that I'm going worst case. So let's say you're at early. You have to start work at 6, and you can't. As soon as you get home. Like even on your way home, you just get home and you go for a run quickly then, and get it out of the way. Try and get a habit of getting it out of the way sooner. Because otherwise, if you wait till the end of the day, a lot of people have excuses.
Yeah.
Oh, the kids, or they blame their partner, or blame, tired, or the boss, or some excuse comes up with the first thing in the morning. There's no excuses.
No,
you just get up early and do it.
So if you want to start running, I think amazing. Get out there and do it. We've shown so many more benefits than there are cons to it. So
and there are apps. I don't know nothing about them, but I know there are apps for running.
There are a lot of apps out there, and then there's all the wearable technology, which we didn't go into about tracking. Yeah. So some people are trackers, and they find that can be really motivating and helps drive them to their goals and things as well. So there's lots of things that can help support you.
There's running clubs.
Yeah, there's the running club. There's park runs, as I said, they're really popular.
Yeah, they are
popular. A lot of friends that do park run.
Yeah. Why? No. I know. I get it.
Yeah.
And try and look for goals like that. You don't have to do the stupid marathon thing that I
mean, if you're starting out to have a goal of 5Ks.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty.
I remember my first 5K. I was amazed that I did it because I thought it was so far.
Yeah, I know. I still think 5Ks is a long way if I had to run 5Ks again.
And now it's like, I'll do that. I was like, but even since these, 10 years ago when I was running a fair bit, I still run these 3-day, but I reckon I'd struggle to do a marathon now without training for it. I'd really struggle. Oh yeah, you'd have to train for it at 55, Steve. I mean, come on, you don't bring chicken anymore, right? I'm in a different category. I think 55. I think stops 54. So I'm with the veteran-y, mastery,
seniors.
Old seniors walking frame group.
The ones where the ambulance follows along closely behind. Yeah.
Oh,
No, but yes, running, I think, great. Too many positives to not do it.
Yep.
And it seems to be really popular. So get out there and
do it.
Run,
literally. All right, that's about all we've got time for.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week.
Guys. Bye.
Bye.